dedication ceremony.
And they wanted you to know how big this thing is. Just look at it. It's immense.
Using our Treato. Hell of a place this is to produce. Thank you.
To enhance efficiency, to make it easier for students to apply, and to again move in the direction of what I think we see in the future as using the network to an advantage in terms of a paperless kind of society, making it possible for students to apply that much more readily, that much more easily, and in fact to be informed in the same way.
It's just a fun program, and you meet lots of friends. You have some heartaches with deaths, which, you know, illnesses, but we can always be together, and it's just a great program.
Faculty members that were still in dress clothes from the school day jumped in and helped. It has not just been us custodians that have cleaned this building. Students have been calling this morning to see if they could come in and help, and I tell you, I'm proud to be a member of this community and also a member of the staff at this school.
Tonight, Split Rock Lighthouse was lit in honor of the 29 crew members who went down with the Edmund Fitzgerald on November 10, 1975. At 2:15 in the afternoon on November 9th, the Edmund Fitzgerald left the Burlington Northern Dock in Superior. There had been a series of mild and calm days all around the lake, but later on the 9th, a storm was forecast to move in, but it was never expected to linger out over Lake Superior. The storm that took her packed wind gusts of 90 miles per hour. The 729-foot ore carrier plunged to the bottom of Lake Superior. 29 crewmen lost their lives. Today, visitors came to Split Rock Lighthouse to honor the men and their ship.
I'm really impressed with the reaction of visitors that, it's not a real festive atmosphere. People are having fun and enjoying themselves, but still they remember, and we remember, that there's a lot of sadness, and there was 29 men lost their lives.
Many people from the community came out today to commemorate the 21st anniversary of the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
I just like seeing the lighthouse lit up, and there is also an element of the whole commemoration of the Edmund Fitzgerald going down and the history of that.
Because this is the one that they light in for the commemoration of the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald. So that's why this one in particular.
About 800 people gathered at the visitor center and then proceeded to the lighthouse. At dusk, the names of the 29 crewmen were read, and then the beacon came on. At Split Rock Lighthouse, Angela Wang, Channel 6 News.
Then the smoke came. I mean, the smoke took over the house within minutes. That's within minutes. I mean, there was no smoke till the house was filled with smoke.
The council authorized a study of the gas rates back in April of this year, and that study showed that we were charging higher rates than we needed to.
Well, we're one of only really 30 libraries in the country that got it, so it's an unusual opportunity for people in Duluth to see something you might have to travel down somewhere, the Twin Cities or Chicago, to see.
Did I do something wrong? Yes. I overreacted to his aggression. Did the Is the action of the police correct? Yes, I think it is. And I think, and I've been charged with disorderly conduct. In any similar case, if I was the investigating officer, that's what would happen too.
Northland authorities believe 6-year-old Bethany Stresso is the latest Northland victim of drinking and driving. She died on the way home from dance class in September when her family car was struck by another vehicle. These are the faces of other children who will not celebrate this holiday season. They are past victims of drunk drivers.
Unfortunately, this has not been a good year on state highways in northeastern Minnesota as far as fatalities and alcohol-related crashes. We've had 15 fatalities in northeastern Minnesota this year. 11 of those are alcohol or drug related.
Duluth ER physician Christopher Delp knows firsthand the carnage caused by drunk drivers.
We do see such a large volume of it. Roughly about 40 to 50% of the serious trauma that we see has alcohol as some contributing factor.
That message has been at the forefront of a 10-year-old campaign by Mothers Against Drunk Driving. This week, the organization kicked off its Operation Red Ribbon campaign.
Our purpose is to change the meaning of tie one on by asking drivers to tie a red ribbon to a visible location on their vehicle. And this is a promise for the individual that they won't drink and drive, and it's also to serve as a visual reminder to everyone not to drink and drive.
Our medical community agrees when it comes to alcohol-related injuries and fatalities, an ounce of a prevention program like MADD's Red Ribbon campaign can save tons of lives.
There's been a lot of research studies that shows that that kind of intervention has really been shown to make a difference in different communities. That's been studied across the United States and in terms of dollars and lives saved.
Nearly 200 Northland businesses are offering these free red ribbons. Pick up yours and pledge with me not to drink and drive this holiday season. Here's to your health. Michelle Lee, Channel 6 News.
That's it. From recognized environmental groups in the community like y'all. Where should we build, where should we not build? Not sites. I'm proposing through ordinance that this advisory council be established. It'll be on the agenda for final passage this evening, and I have every confidence that in fact will take place and that it will pass. This will be a 13-person council that will give people in our community an opportunity to sound off about
I was sitting on 9th Avenue and we we seen people coming out and we thought they were nuts without jackets. And we were laughing at them, and all of a sudden we look up and there's tons of smoke just rolling out. It was rolling out for like a good half an hour.
In June of 1992, more than 20,000 people had to be evacuated from the Twin Ports area after a rail car carrying toxic benzene derailed and ruptured. Shortly before Toxic Tuesday, Burlington Northern workers at the Saunders station in Superior, close to the benzene train derailment site, noticed hazardous chemicals leaking from a rail car. The materials were safely transferred to another car and a potential disaster was averted. The Saunders station is now slated for shutdown.
And that's really about the last point where those trains are visually inspected as they go by the Saunders Tower.
Union workers are also concerned about traffic control, which after the Saunders station is closed, will be handled from a centralized area in Fort Worth, Texas. Letters to BN officials from the local union say the shutdown will leave a blind rail approach controlled by workers some 1,800 miles away.
It's a very busy area out there because of the many different railroads that go through that plant.
And the proposal would have control of that track some 1,800 miles away?
That's what we've been told. It would be controlled by the dispatchers in Fort Worth.
Burlington Northern spokespeople say that changes in Superior will only affect about 25 positions. And those workers, they say, will be offered the opportunity to transfer. They also say centralized traffic control is a more modern, safer way to handle train movement.
The union is protesting the cutback, citing their concerns, including safety problems. They're hoping the matter will go to arbitration for resolution. In Superior, Barbara Riles, Channel 6 News.
Hello, this is season greetings from the Garrett family at Spangdahlem Air Base, Germany, sending them out to Duluth, Minnesota, where my sister Susan and her husband Dean Holm live, with our niece Jessie and our nephew Taylor. Hope you guys got a lot of snow this year. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Off duty today. Off duty.
You guys expired? Get him, Bob.
Business for many, many years, and this town come in whenever they want to, and the business was sort of purely happens to be commercial. Request for council in the email yesterday, so so I think we're up and running. We have some more requests today, but I do know that she's losing money and she's looking for a solution, and we'll take a good hard look at that and try to figure out if there's a way we can help her solve her problem.
'Question at this time.
Do you think this is going to happen one way or another? I think it's basically what you're saying.
I'm very optimistic that it will, because it's the right thing to do. It's supported by the law enforcement community, the judicial community, public defenders community, the policymakers, and it's a clear majority that supports the project. It's not a want, it's a need.
Eleven-year-old Tricia Swapinski was struck and killed by a pickup truck last Friday afternoon. Tricia had just stepped off a DTA bus and was crossing the street in front of it when she was struck. School officials say all students riding the DTA are given these rules as well as trained in safety classes the first few days of school. Students are told they must never cross in front of a DTA bus because unlike school buses, they do not have the flashing lights and stop arms. Traffic will not stop for DTA buses. Investigators on the scene say Tricia apparently never saw the eastbound truck as she crossed in front of the DTA bus. Parents we talked with today say they're concerned about their children's safety.
I think that all children should drive the school bus. I'm picking up my son because I want him to be safe. And if he were to ride, he can't ride the yellow bus. And so I wouldn't want him to ride the DTA bus. There's not really a place for him to get off, a safe place.
School bus drivers are are trained to observe the safety of our kids on the buses. The DTA drivers are trained in safety, but they're not trained to observe children and their behavior and how they might jump out into traffic.
Nearly 13 years ago, the state tried to stop the use of DTA buses for school kids after Corey Jam, an 11-year-old boy, was killed getting off a DTA bus in Woodland. The state education department said the lack of stop arms and flashing lights did not comply with regulations. Back then, transit authorities argued it would have to lay off workers if it lost the school contract. So Duluth lawmakers pushed bills through the legislature to allow Duluth schools to continue to use the DTA. School officials say they are again looking into the safety issues with the DTA, but haven't made any decisions yet.
Well, given the terrible tragedy that occurred last Friday, we are taking a careful look at the safety differences between a yellow school bus and the DTA, and we'll be taking a real serious look at what those differences are and make appropriate changes if we need to.
Angela Wang, Channel 6 News.
Students can't wait for history at Colfax Senior High.
Modern American history.
Sure, they study the past here.
What have you found out so far?
But they also learn from it. And even change it. This semester, 6 guys studying American heroes found Jim Thorpe.
Looks like a tough guy.
A real tough guy who won 2 Olympic golds in 1912 only to lose them to a squabble over his amateur status.
But in 1982, the International Olympic Committee returned some of his awards, but he didn't get all of his medals back.
Thorpe's AAU medals that got him to the Olympics never got back to him.
Definitely got ripped off for that.
But in September, that sad chapter in history began to change. The president of the Wisconsin AAU was attending a volleyball game here at Colfax High School when a history student came up and asked why Thorpe never got back his AAU medals.
I was blown away by it.
Keith Knoll didn't know about the AAU medals, but he knew about the legend. Thorpe, voted the greatest athlete of the first half of this century, with Olympic records that stood almost 4 decades. Knoll took it to the national AAU.
They were like, wow, you know, and I mean, there were several of them, and several of them spoke up and said, this is something we have to do. We have to take care of this.
They did, thanks to a history class.
We never thought we'd ever be able to do something like this, and I mean, we're just a little town of Colfax. Now we're making history, so I don't know, it's kind of ironic.
History that one day may make the history books in Colfax's history class.
I'm always hopeful that something like this will work. It can't hurt. I think that we just need some more information, and in these cases there was not a lot of physical evidence at the scenes of these robberies to lead us in one certain direction.
These fun-filled, action-packed machines can also be one of the most dangerous vehicles of the winter. Each year, the new sleds are built to go faster, making riders' safety a growing concern.
People tend to drive too fast for conditions.
speed limit on the trail here is 50 miles an hour, and a lot of places it's straight, and that's okay to go 50 miles an hour, but where there's curves and stuff like that, people tend to drive too fast and end up either meeting snowmobiles or going off the trail hitting trees.
Right now, Minnesota is on a record-setting pace for snowmobile fatalities, and officials say faster snowmobiles are partly to blame. This snowmobile can go about 110 miles per hour, but officers say it's not always the high speeds that they're concerned about. It's the appropriate speed for the conditions and the driver's abilities.
We're not trying to say everybody is going over the speed limit and that's the reason for our accidents. We're saying people have got to learn the ability of their skill and what the snowmobile will do.
And snowmobilers say they're often put in danger by what other riders do on the trails.
One last night almost came into a turn. He was coming into a turn, coming on the wrong side, so I had to stop. I seen him coming, so I stopped before he got there.
Conservation officers say they'll be out in full force patrolling the trails, trying to change the deadly start to this year's snowmobiling season.
Well, we've been tasked with providing air-to-air escort for the old gentleman as he sweeps down here through the north, and I've got Captain Anderson, who's going to be the flight lead, as wingman Captain Wadan are going to be up there flying, providing escort, making sure that no one gets in the way, and he gets to all the destinations that he needs to make.
If you're not here in 10 minutes for the Northland's #1 rated 6 p.m. newscast, here's what you'll miss.
Authorities are estimating over 24 sex offenders will be released into the Duluth area this year. For the first time, you'll know if they move in next door.
We'll see you at 6 on 6.
I hope when we go down there that the legislators see us, they see us in person, that our lives are going to be affected by what they decide in that office down there. They got to realize that all these people that are going to go to this rally are going to somehow, one of those families are going to starve, one of those families are going to be homeless pretty soon because of these welfare cuts.
Another goal, another object. You can get enough signatures. Did you read anything into that?
Duluth made a loud statement to both the tobacco industry but to the rest of the communities in Minnesota, saying we are going to set the standards for our children, not the tobacco industry. And that is a very powerful message.
And do we look for more help for northern Minnesota because of his leadership role?
Well, certainly the fact that Irv is from International Falls and represents portions of the Iron Range and all will help us, and I think help Duluth and all in northeastern Minnesota. But, you know, the new Irv will have to wait and see. He wants to be a speaker for the entire state, as well he should be, but, you know, there's no doubt about it, Duke. The fact that Irv is there will help us, I think, on a number of things. The bonding bill is proposed to be over $600 million this year, and with Irv there, perhaps we can get some things for northeastern Minnesota.
The pressure really is on, I think, this session with the Metro leadership down here to try to take some of the things away from northern Minnesota. What's the most important issue?
I want the adults and the parents to be models in his image and in a spiritual image, so that we can be role models for our children, and to take the blame away from the children and accept the responsibility that we have in the rearing and nurturing of our children.
I mean, that's something that out there, and ask them, are they willing to buy a wholesale product from you? Where are we going to get the answers with?
To the market, and meats. We're not asking anybody to pay more for our meats. We're just asking to get that fair price return.
Knows what I look like. Can you pretend to ring that through? Oh, you know what, I can. I'll... Is it hard to going back on? No.
Anytime the gas prices for liquid gas go up, it's going to encourage them to use alternate fuels, which in this case might be the natural gas. Natural gas then has a higher demand than normal, and so it fluctuates with it. They all track each other to some extent. Some there's a delay in, but they do track, definitely.
Mm-hmm. So a harsh winter or a winter with a cold spell will tend to
Sorry about this. We'll get this all fixed. We gotta make you sound good.
Yeah, okay.
We've been seeing a lot of building in this community, and there are some concerns that maybe we have overbuilt in hotel and motel rooms, and that to me is a concern. So we might see some slowdown in construction and increasing vacancy rates in the future.
Well, everybody has to use extra caution in the wintertime, and especially this year because we've had so much snow. And we've got the buildup of snow at the intersections, snow banks at the intersections, and we've had, you know, quite a few snow-covered roadways because of the snow coming every couple of days.
At this time of year, Mille Lacs is a vast frozen expanse, but it's no harder than the attitudes of those who oppose granting Indian fishing rights.
Federal judge right now, I can't believe made a ruling like that. I don't think it's right.
Over lunch at Cragen's Resort, under the trophies mounted on the wall, the talk is about whose rights are being upheld and whose are allegedly being trampled.
This country has spent, you know, years and years fighting for equal rights for women, equal rights for the colored people, equal rights for everybody, and now they're trying to get more than equal. They've got more rights than you and I do right now.
A federal judge's decision means Native Americans will be able to fish and hunt in ways that are illegal under Minnesota law. Things like spearfishing and shining deer, even commercial harvesting of the famed Mille Lacs walleye, with Native Americans taking up to 22% of the annual catch.
It's going to be devastating to the whole area. Two sets of laws in one land is not right.
The tribe released a statement calling the ruling just and fair and offering reassurance that there will not be adverse consequences, saying the Ojibwe Indians have been the stewards of the land and water for hundreds of years. The tribe must still determine exactly how it will implement its rights in the face of opposition that has already sparked demonstrations at the state capitol. The Department of Natural Resources is considering seeking an injunction against the tribe while this latest ruling is appealed.
People won't go beyond some speed limit. Trust me. Just had to hold her real close. She got real close.
What kind of finish is like? Just on it this morning. I took the bandage off, but her.
go beyond some schematic. Trust me, I've done it.
Hit the spot, man! Pump it, yeah! Get inside the ring there, Dave. Be under control. Be here a while overhauling. Fire marshal hasn't said told us so much. It's like her, and anybody who's seen her and then kicked it off the ground. He actually took the time and took the headboard off the dresser.
What I'm saying is, yes, I understand that there's a strong probability that it could be, because I know that that people of color are victims of vicious racial acts just like this.
We're going to have a potluck dinner, a no-tolerance dinner at the Harrison Community Club.
Tell me, Mr. Maverick, is this your first time on a riverboat? Change, it stinks in here. What time is it? Again, what time is it? My watch is slow. I'd like to know what time it is. You're winning $95. That's what time it is. I'd rather win. I'll help you breathe. How many clocks you got? Yes, Murray. We all have 4 cards. If you give us 1 more, we'll have 5. If you were to give us 2 more, we'll have 6. You understand how it works now? Hey, Oscar, what do you say? In or out? Out, pussycat, out. I told my wife I'd be home by 1 the latest. We're making an 8 o'clock plane to Florida. I told you that when I sat down. Don't cry, Murray. Vinny, you're 42 years old as you married. Why doesn't he fix that
Is look. We get all from grand looking for box pajamas. We've also got something, but you can also you can still and here's a card like this one. It's front and it's blank on the inside. A poem, a
We've got your money, lots of your money.
This $80,000 ad campaign has been running heavily in the Twin Ports. It's by the Minnesota Family Council and deals with a projected surplus of $1.4 billion in state funds.
We're simply saying that money belongs to the taxpayers. Legislators are thinking of different ways in which they can spend it. We're saying it belongs to the taxpayers. It's not the legislators' money. Let's give it back to taxpayers.
Based on the general population, $1.4 billion equals $300 for every man, woman, and child in the state of Minnesota. Sound too good to be true? It very well could be, since some lawmakers are saying they need that money for what they're calling valuable projects. Governor Arnie Carlson says he supports giving back $500 million to taxpayers.
But I want to make sure that we also set aside money for the future so no future governor comes into office and has to inflict the kind of pain that I was stuck with in 1991.
The real aches may come if a refund is issued, and those greenbacks will likely travel along plenty of red tape before landing in your mailbox. In the meantime, at least one side continues to bombard the airwaves with its message.
Overtaxation works great for this house, but not for this house. Or this house.
In Duluth, Maureen Tallarico, Channel 6 News.
1-800-880-7282, the Minnesota Family Council. Find out.
Goes in at the bottom is coffee. Next come the bean. Oh, she went for the beans, but then also takes the paper decision. Paper decision goes for the lip Wesson Oil, quality control. Mike, how's he doing?
Also, you look at the diversity of lifestyle which they help to create here in Duluth. We have such beautiful wilderness and Lake Superior here in the region, but also we have a very high quality of performing and visual arts that is so important to the diversity of lifestyle. So for these reasons, they should really consider a contribution to the depot.
Slam dunk. He makes the first decision. Paper or plastic, he goes for paper. That mic work for you?
I've seen homes underwater. I've seen everything people own washed away. And I've seen the anguish on their faces.
And we've had experience up here on the North Shore where people have never had flooding problems or just minor water problems, and they suddenly lose their garage or part of their living room or some of their valuables are gone because of the flooding.
Butch Locker of Plymouth shared the greatest pain, the loss of his daughter Ann.
On behalf of all the families, thank you for accepting us as we so unexpectedly came into your lives this week. Thank you for loving us. God bless you, and God bless our beautiful children.
1,600 people packed the St. Mary's University gym today to mourn the deaths of 5 friends. They came to share the pain they are all feeling.
We have to keep moving. We're not going to forget. These 5 people are very important in our lives, but I think they would want us, and I know that their parents want us to just carry on.
And throughout Winona, signs of loss too.
I think it definitely is a wake-up call for all of us that life is short and really fragile.
Back at the scene of the tragedy today, divers in the water looking for the victim still missing, Timothy Stapleton of Waconia. And all day long, people on shore brought flowers. Family and friends were brought past police barricades to see the place where it happened. One diver was injured when he was hit by a passing ice chunk. Despite the loss, residents are hoping the healing can start.
In this particular case, the solution we were looking for was some kind of an end to this. We did not want these parents to leave this community without their kids. I mean, we're parents. I have 2 kids. You know, we all feel that way. And I saw a lot of my officers and a lot of people band together and work their butts off, literally.
Dioxin lands on hayfields and grazing pastures where it is eaten by cattle and other animals. Because dioxin can travel up to 1,000 miles from the incinerator that generated it, even those who farm or fish far from the nearest incinerator are at risk from its effects.
If you can just save one child from those effects, it's going to multiply because their children will less likely abuse alcohol and drugs, and their children will not abuse drugs.
You know, it's sad because it could be prevented, you know. All a mother has to do is not drink. It's 9 months out of their life, you know, that they have to give up alcohol. And it's not that much of a sacrifice for, you know, a child that they can have, you know, the rest of their life.
For the past few months, the community of Hibbing has been raising money to help little Mariah Benz, a 4-year-old with cancer of the kidneys.
She's a tough little egg, but she's went through a lot.
Yeah.
You know, lost her hair and had to be confined. 4-year-olds, they're active, and she can't be active, but her mind is.
Wednesday's theft is similar to the theft of Mariah's donations February 16th at the Shortstop 2 and seen here on surveillance video. Police will not comment directly yet on whether the two crimes are related, but do tell Channel 6 News they do not anticipate more crimes like this.
I felt bad, but I really feel bad for who took it because of what he took and who he took it from. I mean, she's just an innocent little child, and this is helping. This is for her, you know. And he's got, or she, whoever it was, has to live with that in his conscience or her conscience.
Investigators say it's an emotional tragedy for the Benz family, a tragedy felt by the entire community. In Hibbing, Maureen Tallarico, Channel 6 News.
You know, Edison has invested about $100 million of its own dollars in all of these. First of all, $50 million in the research. They spent 3 years researching best practice, and so that cost them money, and they've raised another $50 million, which they're putting into startup costs and so forth. So it's going to be a long time before Edison makes a profit.
To the unskilled eye, David Carlson's pride and joy looks like any other large machine. But this laser is one of the most expensive items he's ever bought, and he had to think twice about it because he says property taxes are eating his business alive.
We have already had some growth, but I think we could grow even faster and create more good jobs if we didn't have this burden of the high property taxes.
Carlson pays $52,000 a year in property taxes. That comes out at about $1.17 per square foot of his plant. That's why he's made his frustration known loud and clear to these people, the two powerful chairs of Minnesota's tax committees. So what is their answer?
If we don't do it in 1997, it can never be done. You can't really do major comprehensive reform without some money on the table.
That money will come from the surplus, and it will buy down property taxes for homeowners, business owners, and renters. It will also put more money into education, but unlike other tax reform bills, it doesn't raise the additional money somewhere else.
We think Minnesotans see this as the highest priority in this legislative session. We will not drop the ball.
But David Carlson knows better than to get his hopes up. There hasn't been a legislative session in years that hasn't included at least one property tax reform idea.
It's the most obvious sign that spring is here. The first vessel of the shipping season headed out onto the icy waters of Lake Superior, bound for Taconite Harbor. You could tell it was spring on the lake walk. Runners, walkers, and anyone who wanted to enjoy the spring-like weather were outside.
I walk every day out here.
You do?
Yeah. It's great. I even walk in the middle of the winter, except when it's, really, really cold.
And what you're feeling now that it's warmed up and first day of spring?
It feels great. It's a lot warmer out than usual, so.
I'm delighted it's spring. I wish the snow would go a little bit quicker, but that's all right.
So let the snow melt, wash away the dirt, and let that grass grow. Spring is officially here.
I'm ready. Are you ready?
Flames up 2-3 feet in the air, but it must have gone up the wall next to that heater and then got up into the roof, because shortly after I got down there was flames, up in the roof. I could see that. So.
Impressive.
Yeah, some people kill. Put it in a little pipe and smoke it.
Okay. Yeah, you're not.
Is to shoot drugs. This ought to be fun. Get creative, Rich.
Yeah. Just trying. How many suspects are you looking for?
At least 2.
For almost 2 decades, the Western Lake Superior Sanitary District has burned sewage sludge using garbage as a fuel in a process called co-disposal. But now, due to aging equipment and haulers no longer required to bring their garbage to the Duluth plant, the district is considering spreading processed sewage, or biosolids, on farmers' fields.
It really isn't a question of having to do this. This is something that we've spent now a couple of years looking at. What do we want to do with the biosolids after 1998? Do we invest more money and do a better incinerator? Do we use a land application system? And the recommendation that came out of our group of citizens and technical experts said we could either use incineration or land application. The recommendation that we took to the board is that we focus for now on land application of biosolids.
The district has been experimenting with land application for a couple of years. Area farmers love it.
The whole thing here is, we're taking a product, whether it's lime or biosolids or wood ash, and we're just recycling it back into the ground.
Most sewage plants in the state of Minnesota already spread sludge on farmers' fields. It makes great fertilizer, and it's free.
The advantage would be the cost savings via the fertilizer bill. If you had a cornfield or reed canary, grass, or an oat field that would consume nitrogen, this would be a good product to go on it.
Pollution experts say the process is environmentally sound because the plant removes heavy metals and other toxins during treatment.
We're trying to keep the toxics, metals and other chemicals that you might use that term to refer to, out of the process, so we don't have to worry about having those concerns with the end product, and we've had very good success doing that.
A big question remaining is, will people living in rural areas object to the land application? The sanitary district has run into stiff opposition when it experimented with this in the past, and township boards can still say no, even if individual farmers are willing to use sewage biosolids. District officials hope to have all the details worked out by 1998. Jason Poole, Channel 6 News.
Since 8 a.m., crews with the Wisconsin Conservation Corps have been hard at work filling sandbags.
It's going pretty well. It's kind of boring, but yeah, it's pretty good.
Thousands of sandbags will be filled by the weekend. City crews will be on standby, and a special flooding number has been set up.
Along with that, we have on hand 50-some flood kits, which comprise mop, squeegee, sponge, some rags, and possible other paraphernalia to assist if people need them.
Experts say between 9 and 11 inches of water are trapped underneath the snow. Combine that with expected rains, and you've got a dangerous situation. In fact, you don't have to look far back to see the destruction of floods. Last April, 30 families were forced to leave their homes due to high waters. Water created a dangerous situation for motorists as well on Highway 2 just outside of Ashland. That same area is a major focus of concern for authorities again this year, with a near-record snowfall and more precipitation on the way. But experts say if they prepare for the worst, they'll be ready for anything. In Ashland, Maureen Tallarico, Channel 6 News.
He's the ever-popular, furry, and infectious Minnesota mascot. Goldie Gopher dished out heavy doses of gopher fever at a huge pep rally at the St. Paul Companies, attended by none other than St. Paul's mayor.
The pride is back in St. Paul today, and the pride is back in Minneapolis, and the pride is back in Minnesota, because the Gophers are Big Ten champs and Midwest regional champs, and will soon be national champions this weekend. Go Gophers, rock!
St. Paul's all but gone ape over the Gophers. Homo Zoo's orangutans got a maroon and gold feast of cheese whiz and cranberry sauce. One curious creature attempted to don a gopher shirt, exciting both man and beast.
Kind of a different twist on gopher fever.
Definitely different. Very original. We love it.
Show me the bunny!
In Blaine, the Easter Bunny and morning crew from KDWB brought gopher fever to a frenzy, tossing 300 eggs to eager fans. Only one contained a trip to the Final Four.
There for Shana!
Netted by a brother and sister from Brom.
Me and my little brother won it. Go Gophers! Woo!
Present data, the surveyor who did the inspection, plus the head of the surveying team. No. Families of the... I guess I'd like to apologize to those families who identified problems that we could not resolve in their minds. And I wish them best. And again, I'm sorry that they had to go through this.
We're helpless watching this happen in front of us on our highway. And there's no fault of the school bus driver. There's vehicles stopped both sides, east and westbound, and this car just whistled through like nothing was going on.
The scenario Donovan Ranta describes is a scary one. Failure to obey a school bus stop arm could have ended his children's lives. Ranta and others say the violations along Highway 2 in Saginaw are all too common.
It scares me. It scares the life out of me just knowing that if something doesn't change, a child's gonna die on this highway. There's no doubt about it.
I would like to see it so stiff that people wouldn't dare go through an arm. They know better. They know they have to wear their seatbelts. They know the penalty if they're not wearing them, and they know it's a strict one. They know if they drive without insurance, they're going to lose their license. They can be towed on the spot. You go through a bus arm, and especially when the child is already on the highway, on the road, I think it has got to be so stiff that people are going to take notice.
Parents of school-aged children as well as bus drivers say that it's a scary problem out here on Highway 2, but State Patrol officials say that it's a problem that will probably continue.
I don't know how we can get everybody to comply with the law. It's important to understand that school buses carry a very important product, and that's our young children, and that people have to understand that it takes an extreme amount of caution when we're around those school buses because they can be stopping at any given time.
Jamie Jardine is sentenced to 60 years in prison for attempted first-degree murder and rape. He may only serve 20 behind bars. Larry Savchek is sentenced to 10 years in prison for sexually assaulting a 9-year-old girl. He will only serve about 4 years. Bruce Romans is sentenced to 10 years in prison for attempted murder. He will serve about 4. Wisconsin's Attorney General is trying to change this.
I'm trying to make sure that as we talk about truth in sentencing, we really hear from the people whose lives it will affect the most.
Doyle says in Wisconsin, violent criminals only serve 37 to 50% of their sentences. But right now, there's no room in prisons and jails for them to serve full sentences.
I feel as a sheriff, I feel with my jail, it's always running almost full capacity every day. And something's wrong here. Something's wrong that as far as we as a society, are we failing? I don't know. I wish I could put my finger on it.
Douglas County officials who met with the Attorney General agree there needs to be a change in the current sentencing system. They want to see criminals serve more time they're given. They want to see a truth in sentencing. Law enforcement officers say by making the criminals serve longer sentences, it lessens the chance that offenders will reoffend.
In some cases, it's been proven that there's a high percentage of them that will.
I think there has to be flexibility for some opportunity for early release, but I also think that has to be an earned early release as opposed to a given early release.
But the people that are often forgotten during the criminal system are the victims.
When the district attorney or mentions to the judge that they're going to recommend 10 years or there's a plea bargain and 10 years is agreed upon, I think that the person should get 10 years, and that victim should walk out of that courtroom thinking 10 years.
After listening to concerns from people around the state, the Attorney General says he will push his truth in sentencing plan forward.
I want to make sure that the legislators know what people are saying, that this is not just me talking, that this is people all over the state who really support truth in sentencing.
In Superior, Kim Steininger, Channel 6 News.
Taking care of your family and home during the floods is a big responsibility, to say the least. But add 115 cows, 2 horses, and a dog to that list, and now you've got Don and Mary and Cordy's dilemma.
We're setting up maybe the fact that we have to be moving our cattle elsewhere. Last year we moved them onto our higher pasture ground and it was okay, but there's much more water this year with all the excess snow we've had.
The Cordys have plans to move their cattle to a pasture Moose Lake and their equipment to relatives' homes, but there's still one more problem they're dealing with.
You can move the cattle, you can move the equipment, but you can't move the house. So that's always my biggest concern. And like I said, we didn't have the problems last year, but we're already getting the water in the basement now, so, and moving things up and out of the basement. And we'll just have to see on that too.
Just down the road from the Cordys are pastures. There's about 4 feet of water in the fields, but that's where most of the water is piling up for now. Aiken County Sheriff Tim Catlin says the community and officers are prepared for the floods.
I think one thing good about people in Aiken County is that we know how to take care of ourselves too, and we've given them plenty of warning, and I think a lot of people have made those preparations, but also as we also have to help too, and that's where we'll help. The county will help any way we can. And all.
In the meantime, Marion is prepared for the worst, but hoping for cool weather, which would be the best.
I don't know, you just put up with it, I guess, and just wait and see what happens.
In Aiken County, Angela Wang, Channel 6 News.
Near Ely, nature and modern machines try to coexist peacefully most of the time.
We've documented this winter approximately 550 snowmobile violations into the boundary waters.
The Forest Service documents snowmobile violations with seaplanes like this one. According to Law Enforcement Supervisor Poncho Smith, the VWCA attracts more lawbreakers than any other wilderness in the United States. You can see the snowmobile tracks below. Just last month, Michael Lowe pleaded not guilty to riding a snowmobile in the boundary waters. He says officers got the wrong guy. Authorities charge Lowe led them on a 2-hour chase at speeds approaching 100 miles an hour. Dayton Hansen believes Lowe didn't do anything wrong.
Too bad he got caught. I'm a fisherman too, and I would love to have been up there fishing the same way he was.
Many people in Ely support what Michael Lowe is accused of doing.
People don't believe the snowmobile should be outlawed up there. There's that, because we did run them up there for years.
What did he do so wrong that the federal government is willing to take him to court, like myself when I was there, and ask for a $5,000 fine and 90 days in jail?
Scraba pleaded guilty to snowmobiling in the BWCA wilderness a couple of years ago. Terry Anderson says he will continue to snowmobile in the boundary waters. He says it's his right as a Native American.
It's in our treaty. We have the right to do it. I'm going to do it.
Anderson refuses to pay a $200 fine he received for snowmobiling in the BWCA. He hopes his case will set a precedent, giving Native Americans the right to use modern means to hunt and gather in protected areas. Federal officers say they will treat this case as a test case. Meanwhile, nature and modern machines will continue to coexist as peacefully as possible around here, at least until the ice melts and it's time for motorboats to race across the lakes again. In Ely, Kim Steininger, Channel 6 News.
As rushing floodwaters consumed the streets of Ada, Minnesota,
got an 89-year-old woman that needs to get out over there.
they were evacuated by any means available, riding in everything from military transports to front-end loaders. All but 200 of the town's 1,700 residents fled. The town, virtually deserted, is reeling from a 1-2 punch. Record flooding followed by record cold.
The ice is the worst.
Freezing weather in Minnesota isn't exactly unusual, and for that matter, neither is spring flooding. But a combination of the two is unheard of, and it's literally immobilized this community.
While residents here may have seen floodwaters before, they've never been able to actually walk on them until now. Although, as our photographer discovered, that too can be treacherous.
There's waders.
Whoa! With no electricity or running water, the few who stayed behind are seeking refuge in the town's recreation center.
With the weather the way it is, you don't really know if it's a blessing or whether it's just prolonging the agony.
The ice may have halted the flow of water temporarily, but it's merely postponing the inevitable. Brad Woodard for NBC News, Ada, Minnesota.
Some people, I think, still actually believe that people commit crimes and go to prison and never return, and that isn't true, especially in Minnesota. The average prison sentence in Minnesota is only 3.5 years. Minnesota only has 5,000 people in prison. So everybody comes back.
Actually, conditions over this last week were very good. The ground was really similar to what we have out here, but it was the patches of snow that were hard like rock that we couldn't actually get into to find any more aircraft parts that may be out there. Some more parts out there, and we'll get them next week. They're parts of all different sizes.
Pardon me?
Is there someone that we could talk to real quick?
Maybe Brian.
It was pretty loud. I thought someone had hit my car or moved my car into the trailer because it actually shook and moved the trailer. So I thought perhaps someone had hit my car. I took a peek out, but I didn't see it. I didn't see anything, you know.
How close he is, I think I never thought I'd actually have to deal with it.
Nancy Harrington and her roommate Amy Brewer live 2 doors away from the halfway house where two-time convicted sex offender Richard Phillipsbay moved earlier this month. Under the new laws, schools and daycare facilities nearby were notified. Amy and Nancy found out from their neighbors.
I got really scared right away because it's really scary because we have a house of 7 girls living here and you never know, he's right there. You never know what he's going to do. He's not in bars, behind bars here. He could do anything.
Phillipsbay had served time for 4th-degree criminal sexual assault and for having sex with a 15-year-old girl. Less than 2 weeks after moving into the neighborhood, Phillipsbay was missing. A court order for his arrest was issued. Saturday night, Phillipsbay was spotted by the mother of his victim near their West Duluth home.
We received a call from an individual stating that her husband was chasing Richard Philip Bay in the area of 59th West.
Phillipsbay ran to the Moose Lodge a few blocks away. That's where he called authorities to turn himself in.
We had been searching the immediate area for only about 10 to 15 minutes when he had made a phone call for us to respond.
Sergeant Craig Johnson says he's unsure how close Phillipsbay actually got to his victim's house. They say the father of the victim did not want to get into a physical confrontation with Phillipsbay. He says he followed him to help keep track of him until authorities arrived. In Duluth, Liza Olson, Channel 6 News.
Good, that's for sure.
A former Carleton High School teacher is fighting back against a student who allegedly planted a bag of marijuana in her desk. Teresa Roberts' civil suit alleges the student wrote anonymous notes to authorities saying the teacher had the drugs. Roberts was found to be innocent and is now suing the student and his parents to set an example.
I hope to show parents and students that they're going to be held accountable for any false accusations that they make against teachers.
The student's attorney says the teen admits what he did and knows it was wrong. He just hopes someone can learn from his wrongdoing.
And he hopes that at least some small amount of good will come out of this, that other students will see what he did, the mistake he made, the penalty he's had to pay, the misery he's gone through, and the misery that the teacher has gone through, and in hopes that it doesn't happen again.
Teachers we talk to say they are often in the hot seat and can be put in a vulnerable position. Mike Murneke has been teaching for 25 years. He says students making false accusations can do some very serious damage to a teacher's career and life.
One of the fears I've always had is if a student is having trouble in my class and maybe is getting D's and F's, that they could accuse me of something and there'd be no due process. You are taken out of the schoolroom and you are not given the benefit of the doubt.
Brenda Florestano is a high school teacher who was accused of sexually harassing a student 3 years ago. She says it never happened and the school never found any evidence to support the student's claims. But Florestano says that incident has changed her life.
Well, it is a little bit scary. You need to be very, very careful. I mean, you can't just go and do whatever you feel like doing. You got to think about how it's going to look and what could happen. You can't be as trusting of kids as you'd like to be.
As for the former Carleton teacher, Teresa Roberts, she's now teaching part-time in the Twin Cities. She says she still has feelings of mistrust and anxiety and doesn't know if she can ever go back full-time. Kim Steininger, Channel 6 News.
And did it hurt?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is she remaining calm, you think? She hurts. No, she's remaining calm.
Just to let children know how important it is that if they do have a boo-boo, that they take care of it. And so today we're trying to teach the 3 steps that my friend Carrie here goes all over the United States teaching.
With friendly otters and easygoing bears among the exhibits, the Lake Superior Zoo is one of our area's largest and most popular recreation spots. Over the weekend, it became even larger as a whole slew of new critters arrived at the zoo.
We had a major shipment of animals come in from the Pittsburgh Zoo. We have 3 Rocky Mountain goats. We have a male reindeer, 2 great gray kangaroos, a couple wild turkeys, and a couple white-tailed deer to round out the group.
According to Zoo Director Janis, the acquisition of the Rocky Mountain goats is quite a coup for our zoo.
Rocky Mountain goats are very unusual in captivity. Don't always do very well, but in our climate I'm sure they'll adjust quite well.
The new reindeer is also considered a very important addition for the Lake Superior Zoo.
We're hoping to find a female reindeer for him and possibly produce some young'uns. So we're looking forward to having reindeer back at the zoo.
And we can't forget about the 2 new kangaroos who joined the 3 already here. They're here on loan to breed. Sounds like good work if you can get it.
This next Saturday is our annual Zoo Docents Spring Carnival, and that'd be a fine time to come out and see all these critters.
In Duluth, I'm Dave Anderson for Channel 6 News.
date, we've serviced over 16,000 people, and 23 to 25,000 people affected by the flooding. That's pretty significant, and this check will certainly go a long way towards helping those people out.